Hello, it's Libby from libbystamps.com and I'm here to bring you another technique today. Today's is quite an easy technique and it's called faux tearing, and I've used it on the bottom of this card here, and we'll actually make most of the card today. We'll just see how we go for time. I've used the card front builder thinlits and the Carols of Christmas. Now, if you buy these as a bundle from the current Stampin' Up holiday catalogue, you'll get them for 10% cheaper than if you buy them separately. So there's a little tip for you. And if you live in Australia, I'd love you to shop with me. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my video channel as well. Alright, so this is the card we're going to make. And I've already done some cutting out, but I'll show you how I did this top bit here. I used the card front builder thinlet dies. Now yours won't come on a magnetic sheet, they come on a piece of white card. I just put mine on magnets so they stay put, and they're somewhat easier to get out. And I'll just show you on this bit of card that I have here for the second layer. Alright, so what I did was I put it on my magnetic platform like that, and I placed one up the top where I wanted it and made sure it was straight. Then I placed the second one just next to it and made sure it was straight. I made sure that there was an equal amount of distance either side of the card and at the top. So when you've got them on your magnetic plate, it makes it really easy to cut out. Just wind it through a couple of times. Keep the stars because you can use them for other projects as well. Alright, so that's my tip on how to cut out those framelit dies. And as I said, I have mine on magnetic sheets in the same folders that Stampin' Up give us, and I keep the front sheet that Stampin' Up have all the information on in the folder, and I store them like that in a box alphabetically. Alright, so we'll get started on today's card. So you can see I've got navy blue underneath here. In Australia it's summertime here, so I've tried to give it a summery feel. Now I've already cut the trees out and the card base out, and I've kept some of my stars. Now first we'll deal with the trees. Alright, so you'll see on my trees that I've got some dazzling diamonds, and it's really easy to add that to your trees. So I've got my dazzling diamonds in a container here with a spoon, and what I do is I just squiggle a bit of glue on the trees, just anywhere, don't be exact. So you want it to look sort of a bit like night dew or some sort of dew in the early morning maybe. So I just put that glue on there like that, and I leave them to dry for a few seconds, about 60 seconds. So we'll get on and do something else while we're waiting for that to dry. I'll talk to you about how I made this little centerpiece on my card, this piece here. I actually stamp the piece twice, and I stamp it in, I stamped it in this case on Night of Navy, and then I stamped it on a scrap in Smoky Slate, and then I just cut out that little centerpiece. And the mini Stampin' Dimensionals are great for this, so we'll go ahead and adhere those while we're waiting for that glue. So just a couple of those. on there like that. That's ready to go. Right, now my card base is Smoky Slate, and then I've used Night of Navy. So I've cut this out on shimmery white cardstock, and we're going to adhere that to the Night of Navy later with foam adhesive strips. I like them because you only need to use one for the whole card front, and then I put a Stampin' Dimensional on the inside. So we'll go ahead and put our trees into our Dazzling Diamonds now, and then I simply just cover them up and leave them until I'm ready to put them on, really. I mean, you don't have to leave them. The Dazzling Diamonds will stick, but we're not going to be using them right away. All right, on our card front, I want to have some rolling hills in the background. So I'm going to bring in a piece of paper, and you can see I've already used this for the other card, but I'll just show you. I just start and I just tear along like that, and then we've got our rolling hills. So we'll get our Whisper, our shimmery white. I'm actually going to stamp the sentiment first. Got it layered up on a clear block, and with this one, this side of the rubber is straight, so you can line it up on your block straight, and then you'll know that when you stamp, provided everything else is okay. Let's see how we go. I'm not going to press too hard. Make sure I've got it up the right way. Right, I'm hoping you can't see my head in the video. And press lightly. Lovely. Put that on my Stampin' Scrub to clean. Okay, so for the colours I'm using Garden Green and Crumb Cake. And I'm actually going to put it on the side because I find that easier to do. Alright, put your post-it notes on your paper to keep it from moving, and you will have to hold your card. Alright, so I'm going to come in with Crumb Cake, and I'm just going to put it on. The card's moved, so I need to line that up again. Alright, so just going to come off the paper onto your card, and I'm just going to do that in a couple of places with the Crumb Cake because I don't want it to take up too much of the bottom background. So that'll do for the Crumb Cake. Alright, so the next colour I'm using is Garden Green, and these are Stampin' Up sponges which I've cut into sixths, and then I use the Pretty Label Punch, or one of the label punches, and I punch out the colour that I'm using, and I write on it as well and staple it to the top, and then I've got a little handle, and then I also know what sponge that ink is for, and I always use it that way. Alright, so we're going to come in with some Garden Green, and the same as before, we're going to come off the paper and swirl onto our cardstock, and you need to go as dark as you want to, and I blend that into the Crumb Cake that we've already got on there.
Hey, if you want to play, make it about a place. It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the line. Let us see inside your mind.
Alright, that looks pretty good, so we'll put that away, and then we're going to do a bit of Marina Mist for the top area. So we take our post-it notes off, we turn our paper over and match the hills. Alright, put our post-it notes back on. And now if you're right-handed like I am, you can hold the card. You could turn it around the other way. I just needed it that way for the video. So I'm using some Marina Mist and I'm coming down off the paper onto the card. So off the torn paper onto the card.
Inspiration, all I'm saying is you can do it. I want to hear you say, I am independent. I am dedicated. Doing it my way, doing it my way. Yes, I am. I am.
So we can take this away now. And where I've just not quite blended the sky and the grass or the earth, I'm just going to go back in again. Alright, and then in again with my sponge so I can ink distress all the edges.
Watch me go. Doing it my way, doing it
I want to put a couple of stars or 3 stars, and I'm going to use mini Stampin' Dimensionals for that.
my way. Can you hear me say, yes, I am. Lead, inspire destiny, require every dream to believe. Take the chance, lead the dance, and run with what is in your heart. Let the magic start. You're in charge. Yes, you can. What's the plan?
When you're making cards the same, you don't want to make them exactly the same. They can have a bit of difference in them, and it just adds to the interest of the card. And I'm going to bring in some Clear Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to give those stars a bit more glimmer.
Let's do this and do it now. I want to hear you shout. I am independent. I am.
And we can go ahead and add the middle of our sentiment.
Doing it my way, doing it my way. Yes, I am. I am in control. I am. Watch me go. Doing it my way, doing it my way.
What's left? Oh, our trees. So, might paste some foam tape on the back first. So I just use one strip, pick it up.
Yes, I am. You can do it. Change and grow. You can have it. Don't you know? You can be it. Anything, anything you want. I am independent. I am dedicated. Doing it my way, doing it my way.
And then I use a Stampin' Dimensional in the middle so that it doesn't look like it's sinking in the centre, because often your cards can, when you've put the foam adhesive, it'll sink in the centre and it detracts from the look of your card. So we're going to go ahead and adhere that to the Night of Navy I have already cut, and I'll put the measurements on my blog for you. And don't forget, Stampin' Up adhesive is fantastic, and watch out on my blog for a special that will last only a week and that you can only get through me, and of course you have to live in Australia. Australian residents only for this offer. So when it comes to my foam adhesive and placing it down, I just sort of eyeball it to start with and pop it on, so that if it's crooked, as it is in this case, I can still pick it up and move it till I have it exactly where I want it. That's better. Alright, and then I place it down. And then we're using some liquid, multi-purpose liquid glue. And also on my blog I'll put the finished card and the inside and the envelope that I do. I'll do a video on creating inserts and decorating envelopes soon. So see how that doesn't pop down in the middle? So that's what we wanted. Alright, what's left? Oh, our trees. So I just need to dig in here and get our trees out and shake off the excess. Alright, we're going to put mini Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. On the other one, on the other card that I made previously, I had the two trees on the left and a single tree on the right. We don't want to make this card exactly the same, so I'm going to pop the two trees down here and the single tree over on the side. And there I have 2 Christmas cards ready for this Christmas. That's it for today. Bye for now.